Sure, here's a 1,600-word article about the 1955 Ford Thunderbird, crafted in a style suitable for a compelling YouTube narration, without headings and with a smooth storytelling flow. The year was 1955. The American automotive landscape was buzzing with excitement. Post-war optimism filled the streets, chrome glinted under the sun, and families proudly showed off their new cars. Among all the innovations and iconic vehicles of that decade, one name rolled onto the scene and immediately captured the imagination of the public: the Ford Thunderbird. This wasn't just another car, it was a statement, a lifestyle, and a symbol of a shifting era in automotive history. Ford's Thunderbird, affectionately known as the T-Bird, wasn't created to compete with the likes of the Corvette in terms of raw sportiness. Instead, it aimed to deliver something more nuanced: style, comfort, performance, and luxury all rolled into one sleek package. The Thunderbird was designed to be what Ford called a personal car, not a sports car. This new class of automobile focused not on corner carving and racing stripes, but on satisfying the driver who craved elegance with just the right touch of muscle. It all started in 1953, when Chevrolet introduced the Corvette, America's first mass-produced sports car. Ford executives watched closely. While the Corvette caught attention, its early performance and build quality didn't impress everyone. But what it did do was spark a conversation within Ford's walls. Should they respond? And if so, how? The answer was yes, but they chose a different direction. Rather than matching the Corvette punch for punch, Ford saw an opportunity to give drivers a taste of European-inspired sophistication blended with American comfort and power. The design process began quickly, and the team had less than a year to create something extraordinary. Using lessons from both domestic success and European touring cars, Ford's designers penned a low-slung, two-seater convertible that exuded elegance. From the moment the Thunderbird was unveiled at the 1954 Detroit Auto Show, it was clear this car was special. It turned heads, sparked conversation, and by the time it hit showrooms later that year, customers were lining up to own a piece of the dream. The 1955 Ford Thunderbird came equipped with a 292 cubic inch Y-block V8 engine, pumping out a healthy 193 horsepower. For its time, that was impressive, especially considering its relatively lightweight and aerodynamic lines. Drivers could choose between a 3-speed manual transmission with overdrive or a Ford Omotic 3-speed automatic. That flexibility gave the Thunderbird appeal to both spirited drivers and those who wanted a more leisurely cruising experience. But beyond performance, it was the design that truly defined the Thunderbird. Its long hood and short rear deck gave it a sporty, almost exotic appearance. A wraparound windshield, hood scoop, fender skirts, and a removable fiberglass hardtop with signature porthole windows set it apart visually. Inside, the cabin was a plush environment, tailored with attention to detail that rivaled luxury sedans. Chrome accents, leather upholstery, full instrumentation, and an optional town and country radio made sure the experience was as polished as it was powerful. The Thunderbird wasn't just a car, it was a cultural touchstone. Hollywood stars and musicians gravitated toward it. It appeared in films and on television, often symbolizing cool, calm confidence. The car's popularity was immediate and intense. Ford had estimated initial production at 10,000 units, but demand shattered expectations. By the end of the 1955 model year, over 16,000 Thunderbirds had been sold. It was clear Ford had struck gold. Yet, it's important to understand what made the Thunderbird resonate so deeply with the public. At a time when cars were getting bigger and more ornate, the T-Bird offered a sleek, manageable size. It felt personal, not excessive. Its performance was spirited, but not intimidating. It blended the best of both worlds: American 5.8 power with a design sensibility that felt more refined and continental. It was sporty, but not a sports car. Luxurious, but not a limousine. In many ways, it was the right car at the right time. Driving a 1955 Thunderbird today is a time capsule experience. The moment you slide behind the wheel, you're greeted by a panoramic dashboard wrapped in chrome and classic gauges. The V8 burbles to life with a throaty growl, and as you press the gas, there's a smooth surge of torque that propels the car forward. It's not lightning fast by modern standards, but it's more than enough to feel alive on an open road. The steering is weighty but predictable, the ride is smooth, and the visibility through the big glass windows is fantastic. You don't just drive a 55 T-Bird, you cruise. The 1955 model was just the beginning. Ford would continue refining the Thunderbird, evolving it into a four-seater in 1958 and turning it into more of a grand tourer than a personal coupe. But purists often return to that first model year, the original. The one that set the tone, created the legend, and captured hearts. That 1955 Thunderbird remains the cleanest, most focused iteration of the car's mission. Collectors today hold the 55T Bird in high regard. Its timeless design, historical importance, and limited first-year production make it highly desirable. Original examples in pristine condition can fetch a pretty penny at auctions, especially if they feature rare options or colors. But beyond the dollars and cents, there's an emotional value attached to the car. It represents an era when American automotive design was bold and expressive, yet still deeply tied to the driver's experience. Interestingly, the Thunderbird's legacy stretches far beyond its original production run. The nameplate would survive for decades, appearing in various forms, from convertibles to hardtops, from muscle cars to personal luxury cruisers. At times, the spirit of the original seemed lost, but Ford always found a way to bring the essence back. Even the retro-styled 11th generation Thunderbird introduced in the early 2000s was a love letter to the 1955 original. People often ask why the Thunderbird matters. Why, among so many legendary cars from the 1950s, does this one continue to shine? The answer lies in its balance. The 1955 Ford Thunderbird was a perfect fusion of design and engineering, form and function. It wasn't the fastest car on the road, nor was it the most luxurious, but it offered just enough of each to create something truly special. It symbolized freedom, aspiration, and style. For Ford, it was a triumph of vision. It proved that you didn't have to chase the competition on their terms, you could define a new category altogether. And for buyers, the Thunderbird was a dream within reach. A car that made them feel seen, stylish, and in control. It turned commutes into experiences and Sunday drives into memories. As we look back on the Thunderbird in 2025, 70 years after its debut, we're reminded of its staying power. In a world of electric vehicles, AI-driven cars, and futuristic designs, the soul of the 55T Bird still resonates. Its curves still draw admiration. Its exhaust note still makes hearts skip. And its presence still commands respect. This isn't nostalgia, it's reverence. There's something about the way the Thunderbird sits on the road, low and poised, that feels like poetry in motion. It's an icon, not because of brute strength or cutting-edge technology, but because of emotion. It's a car that makes you feel something. And that, in the end, is the rarest quality any car can possess. In garages across the country, undercovers and in showrooms, the 1955 Thunderbird waits. Not just to be admired, but to be driven. To be enjoyed. To remind us that once upon a time, cars weren't just transportation, they were dreams on wheels. The Thunderbird didn't just take people from one place to another. It took them somewhere special, somewhere personal. That's why, 7 decades later, it still soars. If you'd like, I can also help you turn this into a YouTube script with camera cues, background music suggestions, or voiceover pacing. Just let me know.